it's not one replacing or eclipsing the other. They're all in a continuity. They're not in continuity, but they're all, they all
Yeah.
exist side by side. And so that's kind of how I look at this one, where it's kind of like it's a new version, and hopefully there will be a subsequent newer version after this one that, another interpretation, and they're all part of the same.
That was just self-defense. You haven't killed anyone else, have you?
See, when you say self-defense,
He's an ugly son of a bitch, though.
That's all that matters to me.
The Toxic Avenger.
That's what the kids are calling him. I think it's swell.
What's popping? And welcome back, freaky people, to the channel. My name is Zero Gravity, the official scary movie sister of Big Go Bell Media. And hold the phone, y'all. Hold the phone. I've got Macon Blair, the writer-director of Toxic Avenger, on the line. Can you believe it? Because I can't make it. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for having a little chat.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. It's nice to meet you.
Let's just get right into it because as a fan, I have some things I absolutely must ask you. So, first off, it's really hard to believe that someone on the rise of their filmmaking career could just trip and fall into a reimagining of a trauma film. If you live in Traumaville, you can assume the task comes with a definite challenge. But that being said, I'm sure you live here too in Traumaville. So can you recall discovering the signature trauma trash or Toxic Avenger for the first time?
100%. Yeah. No, I was at my friend Jamie's house and my buddy's older brother Mike brought the tape over for Toxic Avenger. We were probably 12 or 13, and it landed exactly the way you would want it to. We were first of all, we were the right age, so that we were the right target demo, and so the sense of humor and the whole tone of it was just right on the money for us. We thought it was hilarious. We were also starting to try and figure out how to make our own movies on videotape at that time, and it was hugely inspirational, like sort of in the content, like the types of jokes, but also just in the fact that they had clearly done it themselves. This was not a Hollywood movie.
Hmm.
And so that was really inspirational and sort of carried things forward for us as we were trying to figure out how to make our own movies. It was definitely formative for us.
Yeah. I mean that I think that's what draws a lot of fans to trauma films and keeps them trapped there because it talks to them on their own level, but then at the same time, maybe just a bit of inspiration that, all you need is a camera, some friends, and a good idea, and you could make something that everyone can love. And I love that. It's clearly come very full circle for you, and I'm sure that's very special.
Uh,
But
that-
this
oh, no, no,
continue.
I was just saying that was like when around 2019, and they asked me, I was invited to pitch to write the script for this. And that was my first thought, was like, this could be hilariously like a movie that we had made when we were in seventh grade, but with all the bells and whistles of like a bigger movie. And that was sort of like the
Hmm.
tone of going into it. And even when I was talking with the the director of photography and the costumer and the designers, that's to sort of keep in mind that having that handmade feeling, not that we were trying to like copy that necessarily, but just the vibe of it would sort of have that sort of handmade quality that was so appealing about the original, and not have it look too slick, not have it look too polished or like overly constructed, have it be a little loose around the edges, because I think that's also part of what people love about those originals, and we wanted to have
Yeah.
that sort of vibe.
Yeah, I love it. That definitely does come across because it's polished, but it's not too polished. It's just enough polish um to maybe open it up to a little bit of a new audience, which leads me into my next question. But this new remix is so different from our 80s originals, but at the same time, it's Thankfully, thank goodness, as a fan, exactly what I would expect from a present day stab at a trauma classic. And
Yeah.
so, okay, we already seen the movie. The good news is the result is near perfect with this conflict in mind. But, and we talked a little bit about it already. But as the kids say, if you know, you know. And this is kind of a hard pill to swallow, is taking something that's so niche and so, if you live here, you get it. If you don't live here, I don't really know what to tell you, kind of situation. But did you have a plan? Did you have any concerns with the opinions of change by the original fan base? Because if you don't stray too far, or if you do, sorry, if you do stray too far, then the classic fandom will get upset at their computers and start yelling at you because it's different. But then if you don't, you ruin your opportunity for a bigger fan base. So what was your thought process about how are you going to overcome that, stay one side or the other side? Because it couldn't have been easy, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, it was kind of like the last thing I wanted to do was to make something that like the reason we're still talking about it at all, the reason why they wanted to do a remake is because it endures, and it only endures because of the fan base. And so the last thing I wanted to do was to take something and steer it totally far afield from the thing that's beloved in the first place, because then it really is why do it at all. Um, you know you're not going to please everybody, and that's just sort of a fact of life, and you can't get hung up on that. But I really did want to try and make something that, in terms of tone and feeling and heart, that the fans of the original, or as many of the fans of the original as possible, would feel recognized and feel seen and feel like this property has been respected. Um, and not like transformed into something totally different. And so that's why when I went in to pitch for it, that I didn't even really have a story. It was just like these sort of concepts. We can't make it dark and gritty. It should retain that silliness. It should retain that sweetness. It should be a performer in a suit as opposed to a computer generated character.
Hmm.
And these kinds of things to try and sort of keep it grounded in what people love about the original. At the same time, if we the exact same story that Mark Torgl and Mitch Cohen did so perfectly in the first one, where he's an adolescent, he's a 19-year-old something, and it's kind of about him being bullied, it's about him being picked on, and he's trying to meet girls. If we were to do that exact same thing, then it really shines a spotlight, in my opinion, on why are you doing this? We've already done it. We've already done it. And it was
Yeah.
we nailed it the first time. So I felt like we had to sort of keep on the outside the tone and the feeling and the texture in place, but give it a new story, a new sort of like emotional hook, so that it can feel fresh but not totally in a different universe. And so yeah, it was a little bit of straddling and just hoping that like it would land with as many people as possible, and you just kind of take it for granted that some people are going to be infuriated with you, but that
Hmm.
if you let that stop you from making any changes, then it's going to be a very stale version of itself, and so um,
Hmm.
you kind of have to accept that too.
Totally. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I don't know how much you even have to accept at this point, because this is a tale as old as time. Like, how many Batmans did people hate just in the
Well,
history of the fandom, you know? And I think from the fans that I've talked to myself as a fan, I'm not hearing any complaints. I'm not hearing anything at all. I just nothing but praise, exactly through the same formula that you described with let's not do it again because we already did that and we nailed it. So let's take the outside parameters and go through that same tunnel, but do something different. And that really resonated with the fans. This isn't a question as much as it is a compliment. And like, yeah, you did it because we've been doing Batman for decades, and there's always going to be someone that gets upset. But most Toxie fans right now are very excited, which is why I was kicking myself that I was not at that one screening at Fantastic Fest because I
uh,
was like, man. But now the public gets to see it. I'm super happy about it.
that's great.
Um,
Here, I think, and Batman's a great example, or James Bond, or
yeah.
Star Wars, or whatever. It's kind of like they all coexist, and some people are like, I like the Michael Keaton, some people are like, I like the Christian Bale, and it's not one replacing or eclipsing the other. They're all in a continuity. They're not in continuity, but they're all, they all
Yeah.
exist side by side. And so that's kind of how I look at this one, where it's kind of like it's a new version, and hopefully there will be a subsequent newer version after this one that another interpretation, and they're all part of the same. There's four originals, there's cartoons, there's comic books. It's like it's
Mm-hmm.
a fun character to reinterpret and reimagine. So um that's how I looked at it, was just that like
Yeah.
it's addition to, not in place of.
And I think that was a great success. So let's talk about Toxie specifically. I'm just going to be straight up and ask why Peter Dinklage? Because I won't lie to you, the fans with their ears to the streets were confused when this news dropped. Definitely based on his background as a tremendous voice and drama and thriller. And through a little bit of digging, I now understand that you actually offered the role to Peter. So can you explain what you saw in him becoming Toxie?
Yeah, it's a matter of, I mean, it's two things. One, just being a great actor that can sort of, without a lot of material, meaning he's got about 20, maybe 30 minutes of the movie before he transforms, can really get the audience on his side instantly. Like from my point of view, I think a lot of people would say that Tyrion is their favorite character on Game of Thrones for some reason. Probably he's got something to do with that. I think people just click to him. He can do drama, he can do comedy, he can do a lot of things, but it's this telepathic, I don't know, people get on his side quickly when he plays a character, and that's what I wanted, because pretty
Mm,
soon in the movie he's gonna be under all this makeup, and I needed by that point for people to really be rooting for him and invest in
okay.
success. So I thought he would be great for that. It also helps that he and I have a similar sense of humor in movies, and I knew him a little bit. We had never worked before, but we had talked a little bit, and so I figured he would at least read the script. And it turned out that he was a big fan of the original too.
No, no way. I love to hear
And
that.
from New Jersey, and it didn't need a lot of like me translating. Like, okay, I know this seems preposterous, but that's on purpose, and he got it right away. Like, I understand it's silly on purpose. I'm there for it, and he was up for that. And there's something about playing the part really seriously and emotionally in the midst of complete cartoonish nonsense on either side of him that I found appealing. Um, and so it was as simple as that. Like, I was hoping he would say yes, and he said yes very quickly, and that kind of kickstarted the rest of the movie, frankly.
Hmm. Oh, that's so awesome to know that he was already down with the source
Yeah.
before you had to make this ridiculous. So it's about this guy and these toxic chemicals, and then he becomes like, I'm sure that's kind of wild. What about everyone else, the rest of your cast? Like I'm pretty sure, Elijah Wood is from our neck of the weird woods, so I know that he was prepped. But what about Kevin Bacon? Did you have to explain like what the hell the significance of Toxic Avenger was to anyone else on your team while
No.
getting this in motion?
No, I didn't. Like the only one that needed, not needed, but like I kind of had to explain a little bit. I think I had to explain to Julia, who played Kissy. I don't think she had seen the original, but then she saw the original and got it. And she's a great character, comedic actor, and um, everybody really like. I think I was not giving people enough credit, and I felt like I had all these speeches about like, all right, I know it seems silly, but it's silly on purpose, and it has this particular intention in mind, and everything like that. And I never had to give that speech to anybody.
Hmm.
Certainly not Kevin Bacon. He was fast. He got it on a Friday and called back on a Monday and was like, "Let's talk about it," and was very quickly like in, like got it, was down. Elijah, I wrote that part for him, so he before he even read it, he knew that it was coming. And
Hmm.
I don't know if this is 100% true, but I like to remember that he said that he was going to do it before having read the script. That might not be 100% true, but he was aware that I was writing it for him, uh,
Hmm.
and expressed interest, and he knew the originals too. So um, ev- everybody was kind of up for it without me having to translate a lot. There was not a lot of kind of like, this is why we're doing it or anything like that.
Mm-hmm. It's sometimes with this stuff, I feel like I live in the sewer. Like I talk about rabbit grannies, and everyone's like, "Girl, what are you talking? Like what?" That must have been so refreshing. But one more question before we wrap this up. But the Uncle Lloyd cameo is undoubtedly an art form. I knew you put some thought into that. Can you just tell me about how you got that on the screen?
Yeah, so there is no reason for the JJ character to have a roommate. I put that character in there so that I could play that character, so that we could establish this character as being a guy who is in the background of scenes, being noisy and complaining, or just being noisy. And the whole reason that that's there is so that then we can reveal Lloyd basically telling me to shut up, which was the whole nature of the cameo, was the original master telling me, the new guy, to get off his lawn, basically. I mean,
I
it's in the
love it.
context of like a hospital scene, and there's sort of like a little situation, but the point of it is him basically going shh and like shushing me in the movies.
Yeah. I love it. There's layers to it. There are certainly layers to it. All right, well, that's all I got. So back to Tromaville I go. Thank you so much, Macon, for speaking with me today. This has been amazing.
Really
And
nice
you
to talk
all
to you.
can catch the Toxic Avenger, and I highly suggest it with a group of friends as well, in theaters starting August 29th. I have been Zero Gravity. Thank you so much for watching, and vote for
Oh,
Toxie.
look at that shirt.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Good to talk to you.
Regulars.